Is this man the future at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts? Tumultuous year for James Franklin. His first in double blue. Took over from Ricky Ray when he got hurt in week 2. He had 4 starts. He was benched. This is his 3rd game back, coming off a loss against the Montreal Alouettes last week. His counterpart tonight, not Trevor Harris, who's getting a rest with the Ottawa REDBLACKS having already clinched first place. Dominic Davis, who is 8 for 16. He's thrown a couple of touchdown passes as well. The backup getting the start tonight for the REDBLACKS in their season finale at TD Place. They play again in 2 weeks' time in the Eastern Final. Welcome to Friday Night Football, our final edition of the year of Friday Night Football here on TSN. Rod Smith, Henry Burris, Jim Barker, and Milt Stiegel as we get set for the second meeting of the season between the Argos and the REDBLACKS. The Argos have only won 4 games. One of them was a 24-point comeback several months ago in Toronto, back when they were a team still in contention. Very different story now with Ottawa. Just finishing up the season. It's a game that means nothing in the standings. What does this game mean to these teams tonight?
Well, it means everything to these teams because you still want to maintain that attitude, that mental approach to
everything.
Everything. It means everything because it's all about attitude of winning. A guy named Wally Bono, who won a couple of games during his coaching career, said it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. When you step on the field, it's all about winning. And so for guys like Danny Collins, Dominic Davis, when they step out there with guys like Noel Thomas, who people may not know, R.J. Harris, it's all about still winning. And I know these guys have worked together in practice a lot, but you're going to see the likes of some good players from Brandon Burks to Moses Madu. These guys are electric, and these guys are trying to put on their best audition for their future.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm just still dumbfounded by him. by his.
Some incentive in his contract. If he gets 1,000 yards, he gets a certain amount of money. So those guys are trying to reach that incentive. Christmas is coming up. The Toronto Argonauts, they know next week they will be going home. Try to get as much money.
I can out of here. And that's the reality of what happened.
I've been in that position before, I know.
Well, you're very honest, gentlemen, but we still have a game to play, and we're heading to kickoff coming up here on Friday Night Football.
A lot of the line, first place in the East Division. Harris to the end zone, touchdown! Harris has time, looks to the end zone, and the pass is caught, touchdown! Deontay Spencer. Ottawa's been pretty much untouchable, clinching first place in the East Division.
Man, things continue to spiral downhill for these Argos.
Guy happy to get another opportunity under center. Regardless of what their record is, James Franklin looks to prove himself for next season.
Harold Robinson of Edmonton, you could win groceries for a year if a kickoff's return for a touchdown in this game tonight, thanks to Safeway Sobeys' $1 million touchdown to win promotion. And if it happens a second time in this game, well, Harold, you could also win $1 million. Good luck as we head to Ottawa and join Chris Cuthbert and Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Rod. Last game under the Friday night lights in 2018. The Argos back in Ottawa for the first time since winning the Cup last year, as they meet the 10-7 REDBLACKS at TD Place.
Everybody's got something to play for still. It may not be in the standings, but for S.J. Green, 19 yards away from a 1,000-yard season for the Argos nominee for the Most Outstanding Player Award. It won't come easy, as he may sometimes find himself matched up against the REDBLACKS nominee for Most Outstanding Defensive Player, Green's former teammate and a Grey Cup champion a year ago, Rico Murray of the REDBLACKS.
Rick Campbell's team finishing first in the East for the 3rd time in 5 years. This their final tune-up before the East Final November 18th. And for Mark Trestman, the only similarity from last year is that the season comes to an end in Ottawa. Unbelievably, the defending champions looking for their first road win of 2018. Drew Brown's got it on the tee. Moses Madu and Greg Morris are deep for Ottawa, and we are underway. And it will be Morris. Up over the 30-yard line and met there and driven back. And that's where Dominic Davis will go to work, making his first start since 2015.
Dominic Davis, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, has primarily looked after the short yardage unit for Ottawa this season. Has seen a little bit of action. There you see the numbers, completing 50% of his passes, 2 touchdown passes versus 1 interception.
And a 55-yard touchdown pass last week in 3rd and 1 formation to Greg Ellingson. Won't have the big receivers to throw to tonight, but throws a completion on his first delivery to Dominic Grimes, and it's a first down catch.
Offensive line did a nice job getting the hands down with cut blocks at the line of scrimmage as we take a look at this Ottawa offense. Julian Fiola-Gadino, former teammate of Dominic Davis in Winnipeg, is in that receiving corps in place of Brad Sinopoli this week as the Red Blacks will rest many starters. Couple young guys on that offensive line at guard. Evan Johnson, Mark Cordy, first-round picks the last 2 years for the Red Blacks.
2 new tackles and none of the 3 of the top 7 receivers in the league that the Red Blacks boast when everybody's in. Let's set the Argo defense for you.
Eric Stryker will get the start at defensive end. He is in for Troy Davis this week. Alden Darby continues to hold down that nickel spot. Something of a bright spot for the Argos defense, and former Red Black Abdul Khanna makes his return at halfback for the Argos.
Davis throwing long, he's got an open target, he's got Grimes again, and on the money and deep into Argo territory. That's a 44-yard play.
Well, Dominic Grimes is going to line up as a middle receiver. Trips formation into the boundary for Ottawa here. He's kind of the veteran guy in this group, takes advantage of the defender's inside leverage as he works to the corner.
So Dominic Davis out of the gate, 2 for 2, 55 yards. Red Blacks into the red zone, and it's Moses Madu off the right side, and Madu with a solid run down around the 6-yard line, close to another first down.
Madu in for William Powell in that Ottawa backfield. Second consecutive game at which he has started at running back. Former Hamilton Tiger Cat, maybe making a push for the Red Blacks to try to find a way to get both those guys on their postseason roster.
I'm curious, the Red Blacks have the leading rusher in the league, William Powell. They're 9th in and last in the running game, which doesn't seem to fit, but plunge ahead here and a first down on the sneak by Davis. First and goal from just inside the 5.
Well, Davis continues to man the short yardage unit. You know, and it did seem in the early part of this season that William Powell almost touched the ball exclusively on running plays, didn't get the ball thrown to him a lot early on.
No, first and goal. Fake to Madu. They'll cross it here, and that's not going anywhere. Read well by Alden Darby. The catch made by Marco Dubois, just his second catch of the year.
Dubois, a young man on whom the Red Blacks are high. Second round pick this year. He's an outstanding special teams player in college. Didn't start a lot of games at Laval, but a guy, when you look at his ceiling in terms of athletic ability, size, and so on, you knew he'd be able to have an impact on special teams right away and sort of grow into a role perhaps as a receiver.
Darby took a knee and now runs off, one of only 2 Argo defenders to start and play in all 18 this year. He and Ronnie Yell.
Well, certainly a big part of the issues in Toronto this year have been that turnover, lack of continuity in terms of personnel on the defensive side of the ball.
So second and goal from the 3. Davis to throw, and he skips the pass short of the intended target. Incomplete. Julian Fiola-Gadino.
Fiola-Gadino is again middleman and sort of a cluster look, working quickly to the flat. They got the look they wanted and had him open. Davis just didn't get enough on that throw.
So a good-looking opening drive stopped short, and they'll leave it in the capable hands of Lewis Ward. Chip shot for his 50th field goal of the season. Looking for his 47th in a row, and you know the result. Red Blacks march the field, settle for 3. And now it's James Franklin's turn. He'll have his 8th game start of the year, his 4th consecutive. Trying to get the Argos a road win in Ottawa. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Well, their first meeting of the year was maybe the game of the year. That dramatic comeback led by McLeod Bethel Thompson, 43-42. James Franklin has been at the controls now for the last 4 games, taking a look, and now dumping it off, a little point guard toss to Brandon Burks to avoid a sack.
It looks like Burks may have been out of bounds when he caught that ball. We'll take a look at the Argo offense. As mentioned, S.J. Green closing in on another 1,000-yard season. Tyler Holmes at left guard. Ottawa boy coming home for the final game of the season. Dad Richard, a former Red Rough Riders running back in the day.
So they rule incomplete as Burks was out of bounds. Franklin under pressure again. A flag comes down and the pass is incomplete. It's like in the holding area, likely to be declined by the Red Blacks.
Well, the play
Holding, Toronto, number 69. The penalties decline. 3rd down.
The play didn't turn out to be a positive for Toronto, but you know, through a couple of plays, one of the things I have liked, obviously very early impression, has just been the sort of the poise of James Franklin in the pocket. Standing in there, not being distracted by bodies around him, pocket closing in on him, keeping his eyes downfield, keeping that focus.
R.J. Harris is back. Zach Medeiros with the punt. Harris will run up on this at the 37. Gets a block and gets to the 50-yard line before he's swarmed. So good field position for Dominic Davis. And the second Red Black possession of the game. Ottawa with an early lead. Shaw Road to the Grey Cup continues tomorrow. 3rd game of the triple header's a big one. Stamps take on the Lions in an effort to clinch first in the division and a guaranteed spot in the West Final. It's at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific across the TSN network. And even bigger, it's Wally Buono bobblehead night.
Got to get them to save me one of those.
I got to get there early. Here's Moses Madu off the left side. Not much. Your old coach, in all seriousness, ending brilliant coaching career regular season-wise. He'd like a shot at Rick Campbell in the Red Blacks in the Eastern Final, but he's going to have to go through Hamilton to get there.
Yeah, well, we talked earlier. It's the one thing left for Wally to accomplish as a CFL head coach is to win the East Division.
Second almost the full 10. Davis to throw. Downfield, knocked down Darby. Nice play. The intended target, Noel Thomas, but Alden Darby with a knockdown, his 7th of the year.
This is a terrific play in terms of coverage from Darby. Start to finish, Thomas releases out of the right slot. Darby got right on him, never lost a step, and just made that break to come over the top with the right hand. Perfectly timed without contacting the receiver.
So Richie Leone to punt. Marmonte Edwards is back, standing at the Toronto 10-yard line. Runs up on this. He'll field it at about the 18. Excuse me, Trayvon Van on the return, and no yards, penalties fly. So Alden Darby with good defensive plays on back-to-back series.
No yards.
Argo football
Ottawa,
when we come
8.
back. Two different stints for James Franklin this year. Ricky Ray goes down. He gets the first 4 starts, then 8 in a row for McLeod Bethel Thompson. And now James Franklin making his 4th consecutive start since, and the numbers better in the second go-round.
Yeah, certainly, and I think some time maybe to be on the sidelines observing the offense has helped.
Swing it out, here's Burks with some blocking. Brandon Burks up over the 50-yard line, and the Argos have their initial first down of the night.
Brandon Burks, a guy who has taken advantage of the opportunity here late in the season with James Wilder Jr. nicked. It's a guy who I think caught everyone's eye during the preseason with his performance, explosive out of the backfield, good as both ball carrier and receiver.
18-yard pickup. Jamal Campbell checks in to add some protection. Franklin's got time. Going deep for Jimmy Ralph, and just out of his reach and around the 15-yard line as Franklin goes deep. Let's set the Red Blacks defense for you. 3rd in the league in points allowed.
Yeah, a little shuffling on that defensive line. Danny Mason out at end tonight, taking a break. Also Michael Clausen inside. Edere Latanzio will get some snaps in his place. You mentioned Rico Murray, most outstanding defensive player nominee for Ottawa, starting at the nickel backer spot tonight for Anthony Chaffee. Keep an eye on Jonathan Rose, looking for that interception title, tied for the league lead with 5 coming in this evening.
Yeah, those guys have been stuck for about a month. 4 guys with 5 interceptions. 2nd and 10, they swing it out. There's Trayvon Van upended right at midfield after a pickup of about 3. And no interception, but a nice tackle there by Jonathan Rose.
Yes, sir, Jonathan Rose. I think he really made his name as a hitter on the Johnny Manziel hit, crossing the goal line versus Montreal.
So RJ Harris drops deep inside the Red Black 10. The Madero's punt will be fielded at the 14-yard line. And Harris brings it back to the 25.
Now, just stay told. Stay told.
Jonathan Rose with the sure tackle on a former Red Black. Ottawa football when we come back. Rick Campbell's team finishes 1st in the East. They earn the bye next week. How do they handle it? Let's find out from Matthew Giannetti.
Well, Chris, Rick Campbell wasn't going to lie to his players. There really isn't anything on the line this week. So let's break it down to a 3-week plan, the coach says. This week was all about the Argos. Next week we'll be focusing on the team itself. I spoke to defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe and offensive coordinator Jamie Elizondo. This is going to be about details. Offensively, they're going to be working on screenplays, how they work inside the 20-yard line, which has been an issue for the Red Blacks all season. Defensively, installation is going to be a big deal, trying out new things for Noel Thorpe. But really, what you really have to understand about what's going to happen in that 3rd week is not only are BC and Hamilton potentially, but also looking ahead to the Grey Cup. They're going to be sampling what's going on in the West so that if the Red Blacks do get there, their week in the Grey Cup will start faster, guys.
Seth Koth with the catch. Flag comes down, and this is coming back on a hold. Okay, you've been there before. Are you telling me you're looking beyond the team you might play next?
Holding. Ottawa, number 65. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
Mark Corte draws the flag.
Yeah, Cordy at right guard, University of Alberta product.
One on strike. One on the strike.
On Cleon Lang.
A couple of Edmonton area boys going head-to-head tonight.
So you're thinking about Hamilton, BC, but you're also wondering about Calgary, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg.
Traditionally,
Wow.
we didn't go beyond spending time prepping for the 2 potential division final opponents, but at the same time, you plan on winning, right?
Davis, quarterback draw, not going anywhere. He gets swarmed at the line of scrimmage. A flag comes down after the whistle. Were the Argos a little overzealous, or did somebody come in for Ottawa at the end of the play? And they are going to call roughing the passer.
Major foul, grabbing the face mask of the passer. That's a roughing the passer penalty. 15-yard penalty, number 94, Toronto. First down, Ottawa.
Costly penalty. Well, after last week, the word's probably out, too, about making sure the quarterback's protected.
Yes, certainly. You may get that in-person visit from the commissioner. Keep an eye on Frank Beltre right there. It's like the left hand got the side of the face mask of Dominic Davis.
Oh, at the 30-yard line, first down. Davis on a roll, throws low, but a nice catch there. As it's picked up by Marco Dubois, who has his second reception.
Here are the potential opponents for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. We know that they will host the East Division Final here in Ottawa in 16 days.
Both games against BC were terrific. The fact that they swept Hamilton and won back-to-back to clinch the last couple of weeks, but it's awfully tough to beat
4 for 4.
the same team 4 times in a row. Not going to take anything for granted. Catch by Rhymes, and it's another REDBLACK first down.
Rhymes this time lines up on the inside. That trips formation. You know, Rhymes a guy who's had opportunities over the last couple of years to be a starter in this receiving corps.
Davis 5 for 7, 75 yards on a lengthy roll, but nobody was open, so he'll take off and run out of bounds just short of midfield at the Ottawa 54-yard line. Pick up a 4.
There's really a feeling in Ottawa this season coming out of training camp. They felt they had a lot of depth at the receiver positions, a lot of good young guys. You're getting a look at some of them tonight. As mentioned, Rhymes is a guy who had started some games last year, got some playing time earlier this year before ratio issues, and you know, I would say the emergence of RJ Harris, quite frankly, cost him some playing time. Noel Thomas played early as well.
2nd and 4 was a 6-yard run, and he's going deep again, puts it up for Rhymes. And in coverage, Trumaine Washington, the Argo Rookie of the Year, and it's incomplete.
And Washington basically just runs with him. Didn't really take a peek for the ball. The outside matchup here. Back pocket, not peeking. Last second look for the ball. Maybe a bit of a face guard. Watch the left arm here.
Rick Campbell gonna reach for that challenge flag? Doesn't look like it. So Leone will punt it. Durant Carter's back. Fields this around the 15. Not much room for him to operate along the sidelines.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
Well, we're just watching Durant on the sidelines there. That's old turf, but that's an old story.
Yeah, couldn't help noticing that as he got taken out of bounds near the Ottawa bench, that there were immediately 2 officials there to make sure he took the long way home.
Argos start at their 18. Into the hands of Armonte Edwards, who broke the first tackle. Positive yardage. Devin Butler bumps him out. They're going to mark him at the 21-yard line, so he gets about 3 when it looked like he might be stopped for a loss.
Armonte Edwards looking for his first career 1,000-yard receiving season. Would need a big game tonight.
Well, that gets him to 900. He's got 100 left. He's 11th in the league in receiving this season. And S.J. Green 19 away as Franklin throws to the sideline. Jimmy Ralph with a nice catch and a first down. Drilled out of bounds, and you wondered if he could get a foot down there, but the officials spot the ball after an 11-yard gain.
Yeah, and this is a terrific catch. Jimmy Ralph, second-year man at the University of Alberta.
First game for him since mid-July. Played the first 4 for the Argos this year.
Yeah, so a lot of action last year in place of Anthony Coombs. But Levi Noel has really had a terrific year filling in that spot this season.
And Ralph drops the hitch, incomplete.
Too easy?
He was running before he caught it, which is usually the case. Makes it 2nd and 10. I think SJ Green's been targeted yet here tonight. 4 different Argos have caught passes here from James Franklin in the opening quarter, but not their biggest threat. 4 receivers wide side, 2nd and 10. Time for Franklin. He'll dump it off underneath, and Burks up over the 40 to the 42-yard line. He'll be close to an Argo first down.
Again, indication of that patience and poise from James Franklin in the pocket. Things break down downfield. You see him progressing through his reads, looking eventually going to that check down to Brandon Burks. Found a nice opening in coverage to allow him to move the chains.
So 1st and 10, 4 receivers near side. They hand it off to Burks. And spilled about the 45, has 3. So Burks finishing off. James Wilder has missed the final 5 games of the year. 691 yards for Wilder rushing, 539 receiving. In a year where we thought he might have a chance at 1,000, but we couldn't help but think, as much as we all talk about it, Wilder would talk about it, probably something that Mark Trestman never wanted to have discussed.
That's right. Not about the individual in Mark Trestman's world.
2nd and 7, underneath pass caught, and it will be short of the first down. Catch made by Miles White, and an injured Ottawa REDBLACK, and that's the corner, Devin Butler.
Well, you heard Jim Barker talk about this in studio in pregame. This is a head coach, general manager. This is your worst nightmare in the last game of the regular season when you know exactly where you stand in the playoffs. Devin Butler playing that boundary corner for Ottawa in the last few weeks of the regular season. Comes up to make the hit. It looked like he caught a knee. Yeah, caught his teammate's knee in the side of the head.
Yeah, friendly fire here, right there, as Kevin Brown moved in to help bring White down, but yeah, there's the knee, right knee to the helmet.
Now this is the constant balance for head coaches in this situation, having clinched first place, having clinched the bye. You know, even teams having clinched wherever they are in that playoff picture, is finding the balance between everybody being sharp and staying in the routine of playing every week versus keeping everyone healthy for the playoffs.
We won't offer up excuses, but it was interesting as we tabulated the man games lost this year to notice that the teams at the top of the list for man games lost, and the Argos lead the way, but the 3 most injured teams are the 3 teams not competing in the postseason.
Yeah, certainly can't be entirely coincidental, can it?
And of course, the Argos' #1 loss came early in the year when Ricky Ray went down and did not return.
Good to see Devin Butler sitting up.
And he's going to, with some assistance, make his way to the sidelines. Did you like playing game 18 when it didn't matter, or were you ready to get prepared for the postseason?
Yeah, you know what? I always looked forward to game day and getting out on the field on game day, regardless of what may or may not have been on the line in terms of standings. There was those 2 weeks of practices without playing a game during the bye that was a bit of a grind.
Very slowly, Butler to the sidelines. Medeiros to punt, and R.J. Harris is back. And he had to backpedal the last minute to the 12 and brings it back just to the 15, and a flag flies at the end of that. 48-yard punt. Short return. And we'll wait for Dave Foxcroft to tell us what the penalty's all about.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 23. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So Jeff Knox is flagged. It improves the red-black field position. Argos number 3 in penalties this year, so one of the least penalized teams. Up at the 30-yard line, the handoff to Madu. Nice jump cut, and 7 for Madu, who last week had 11 carries, only 26 yards in the victory against Hamilton.
Moses Madu, a pretty good insurance policy the Ottawa REDBLACKS have, as you see their leading rusher, guy who's been the starting running back all season, William Powell, sidelines for the 2nd straight week.
Second and short. Gonna throw it in the backfield, and they will get the first down to Rhymes. Let's take a look at the rushing leaders, and I've got a question for you. William Powell leads by 7, not playing in the final game. If you're Michael O'Shea or if you're Andrew Harris, are you going to the coach saying, put me in for 3 plays, maybe 2? I might only take 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a long time since the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won a Grey Cup, and a lot of people are talking about them as possible favorites.
Yep.
This might be a year to put a little extra in the future basket and not risk it on the final game.
Davis, another flag comes down as he is able to juke his way for a first down pending this flag. Boy, he has shown you his mobility in this first quarter. I've detected a theme, though. It's about team, not individuals. That's what you've been telling me in this first quarter.
Well, especially at this time of year,
Chris.
Chris.
Hands to the face, Ottawa number 54. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
So Pierce Burton, the new left tackle flag, taking the spot of Sir Vincent Rogers tonight.
And here we will see Sir Pierce Burton, the left tackle. See that left hand come up from the collar area. There's SB, the usual left tackle, leader of that offensive line group.
So first and 20. And Davis throws a rope complete. Nice play there to Noel Thomas on the final play of this opening quarter. Dominic Davis looks sharp, doesn't he? REDBLACKS with the first down near midfield as we wrap up the opening quarter. REDBLACKS drove the field early. Short field goal by Lewis Ward, and they lead by 3 after 15 minutes. Take a look at the first quarter numbers, and passing yards 99 in that opening quarter for Dominic Davis.
Yeah, Davis doing a pretty good job in this opportunity. Good playoff tune-up for him, as it gives a little bit of confidence maybe to Coach Rick Campbell to know that he's getting his backup quarterback ready just in case. You never know.
So for some guys, it's important to make a little bit of an impression here, but you've been stressing team, especially as we are into the final month of the season.
Yeah, and you want to think big picture. I mean, the fact is, any team going into the playoffs, as has been demonstrated the last couple of years by the Toronto Argonauts, the Ottawa REDBLACKS before them, you've got an opportunity to win a Grey Cup. And I just think that that's something you never want to take for granted and assume that it's going to come around again. You know, I go back, my rookie year, one of my teammates was Lloyd Fairbanks, great offensive lineman, Raymond Alberta boy. Lloyd was in his 17th year in the league when I was a rookie. We made it to the Grey Cup that year with Calgary. That was Lloyd's first ever trip to the Grey Cup. Wow. 17 years, first 16 years, his team had never made it to the Grey Cup. We ended up losing to Toronto. Curse you, Matt Dunnigan. So Lloyd never won one in 17 years.
Here's Davis going downfield and incomplete. Tight coverage there on Noel Thorpe, or excuse me, Noel Thomas. Trumaine Washington was back there. So third down, Leone and the punt team come on, and Duron Carter goes back.
And Richie Leone's a guy who I think has been underrated in terms of his importance to this Ottawa team. A guy who is, with that strong punting leg, good accuracy, capable of really turning the field for them.
Booms this one. Is Carter going to bring it out? Thought about it. Still thinking about it. Not a good idea. So a rouge for the REDBLACKS and a 4-0 lead. And probably best for the Argos that Duron Carter didn't get out of there.
Yeah, you saw a little look of frustration there from Leone. You know, he was looking for an opportunity to pin Toronto deep there.
Done that 10 times this year. Had a chat with Rick Campbell earlier this year about kickers, and if you let them do what they do best and split the duties like Leone and Ward, you get the best out of both, and they've got quite a combination. One of the top punters in the league, and a kicker who's really made an impact in his rookie year.
Yeah, they've been a terrific duo. The odd couple. You see the two of them standing side by side. Richie Leone, a tall guy to begin with, but looks like a giant next to his counterpart, Lewis Ward.
Now Ty Long's been able to get everything done, but in some cases best. There's a crosser to Levi Noel, and coming off his best game in the Canadian Football League, Noel has a first down at midfield.
Well, Levi Noel, University of Toronto product, also spent his draft year playing junior football in Windsor before being selected by the Argos.
8 catches, 105 yards last week. First 100-yard game, 8 catches on 8 targets, and you can see Butler still feeling the effects of that knee to the helmet as he heads to the locker room. First down, Argos midfield. Out of the backfield, Trayvon Van, another first down. A bolt down the sidelines, and he's finally bumped out around the 30. So a 25-yard pickup for Trayvon Van.
Well, clearly a bust in coverage for the Ottawa REDBLACKS defense. You're going to see Trayvon Van shoot out of that backfield to the flat. Nobody follows him out there. He's got a ton of open space around him. You see S.J. Green draws a couple of defenders to the inside, leaving Van open for a nice gain.
First down, Argos, deepest penetration of the game so far. Maybe looking for S.J. Green. No, dumps it off underneath, and Van brought down at the 24. Tackle on the play made by Mikhail Cote.
There's Red Blacks defensive coordinator in his first year in that position, Noel Thorpe, best known for his time in that role with the Montreal Alouettes a few years ago.
Third in the league in points allowed, 24.2 on average. Second down, quick hitter, and incomplete. There's the first target of the night for S.J. Green, and Corey Tyndall there to make the defensive play. He's been there for all 18 as a starter, and one of the best Red Black defenders this year.
I'll tell you, and you go back to training camp, and many figured that Tyndall might be kind of an odd man out coming into training camp as Ottawa went out and invested in some defensive backs. Josh Johnson, Luchez Purifoy both signed as free agents, Rico Murray as well. But Tyndall won that job in training camp, and as you mentioned, has held it down for all 18 games. It's been terrific.
Here's Drew Brown putting it up at good, and the Argos are on the board. Brown now 8 for 9 as a field goal kicker for the Argos this season. There's Drew Brown, just kicked the field goal, and he actually got congratulations from an opponent, which you don't often see, but obviously old college teammates from Nebraska, so the Cornhuskers meet on the field. Ottawa takes over at the 35-yard line. Madu, great burst there, second level, first down, Moses Madu. 13-yard run up to 40 on 6 carries here in the opening half.
Yeah, great burst here, had a seam immediately. And the right side of that offensive line, Burton, left tackle, pulled across for the kick out block to open things up.
Will play action fake and inside, incomplete. The former Red Black, Abdul Ketta, breaks the play up.
A well-timed break to the football by Canna right here. Talk about separating a receiver from the football.
2nd and 10. And Davis flushed, he'll take off, and boy, he is a smooth runner, isn't he? First down run into Argo territory.
Well, I'm not sure if it's by scheme or just where he chose to rush, but you'll see Cameron Walker goes inside on his rush route. Nobody folds around and contain for Toronto. That's what allows Dominic Davis. A nice gain for the Red Blacks QB.
Now they mark him just short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd and a half yards, so the big team comes in. Red Blacks 19 of 22 in short yardage this year coming into the game, and Davis plunges ahead to move the chains.
You see Trevor Harris. There will, as you can tell from his attire, be absolutely no temptation to put him on the field tonight.
First 5,000-yard season for Trevor, 5,116 yards, 3rd in the league. Led the league, or leads at least, in attempts, completions, and percentage this year. Davis in some trouble. Flag comes down. Pass caught as he dumped it off to the fullback, Anthony Goslin. But let's check the penalty flag. In the holding vicinity.
Holding, Ottawa, number 65. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Cordy flag.
Well, tough matchups for the young guards, Cordy and Johnson inside tonight. Cleon Lang and Dylan Wynn. Pretty good D-tackle duo for the Argos. Ken Bishop rolling through there as well.
Lang, the Argos' top defensive player this year. Winner of a Grey Cup for both these teams over the last 2 seasons. So 1st and 20, more pressure. Davis all the way back inside his 30. Now throws downfield. That's back to the line of scrimmage. That's a long throw to get you back to where you started, and the fullback Gosselin has the catch. Let's take a look at the Red Black nominees this year, top players in 2018.
Yeah, pretty good group. Trevor Harris. I'm surprised Trevor Harris has not been mentioned more in the most outstanding player discussion, particularly in the East, as his numbers have been very similar to Jeremiah Masoli, with a better overall record as the starting quarterback.
Was a heated debate here whether or not it should be Lewis Ward or Trevor Harris. Davis stepping up, he's got a completion. Fiole Gadino, a first down at the Argo 36.
A nice escape in the pocket for Dominic Davis, stepping up, delivers a strike, and you'll see Fiole Gadino, originally a Toronto Argonaut draftee.
First down, Madu picks his way down to the 31-yard line, so that's a pickup of 5. Again, his first 5,000-yard season. 22 touchdown passes for Trevor Harris.
Trevor Harris, very strong season, obviously. Airing out the football to that great receiving core. And
10 300-yard passing games, 381 in the loss against the Argos. Pass complete. In front of Roberson, Fiole Gadino has another catch. But again, best percentage, 70.1% completions of any starter in the league this year.
And, you know, the question that people have asked so often about Trevor Harris is, you know, yeah, he has great numbers, but can he win the big game? And this, I think, has been maybe the difference maker for Trevor Harris this year. You saw 3 fourth-quarter game-winning drives this year, a winning record against playoff-bound opponents.
Davis on a roll, open man end zone, touchdown! Julian Fiole Gadino. Second touchdown of the year for Fiole Gadino.
Well, he's playing in Brad Sinopoli's place tonight, and 83 is picking up right where 88 left off. Working to the corner. Davis drops it in there perfectly for the major.
Well, Dominic Davis at 155 passing yards in this opening half. Just engineered a 10-play, 75-yard drive in 4:40. And it included a 2nd and 20 conversion. They'll go for 2. They have the most 2-point converts ever in a single season. Davis, and they get another to Anthony Gosselin. And they've now gone 17 of 23 on 2-point converts this year. Well, Fiole Gadino with the touchdown. It's been fun watching Dominic Davis here in this opening half. Good-looking drive for the Red Blacks and the first touchdown of the night.
Dominic Davis, I think, has been the story thus far in this football game. Nice job maneuvering around the pocket, keeping plays alive. Been very accurate as a passer thus far. Very poised.
Hola a todos en Montreal, mami, papi, Andre, Penélope, Benjamín, Diali, Pierre, Rosalie. Los quiero mucho a todos. Un abrazo, un beso.
No, 12-3. Red Blacks with the lead. Trayvon Van on the return, starting at his 11th. And crashes across the 30 to the 32-yard line. There's the outstanding player for the Toronto Argonauts in 2018, S.J. Green. Number 19, still 19 away from his 6th 1,000-yard season. The Argo nominees for 2018, a double nominee, Sean McEwen, the outstanding Argo center.
McEwen, University of Calgary product. Top Canadian, top offensive lineman. Former first-round pick.
Another great year for S.J. Green, 12th year in the league. Little shovel here to Van, flag comes down, and about 5 yards on the play, and this one coming back.
Holding. Toronto, number 57. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Ottawa native Tyler Holmes is flagged. Left guard gets called. Declan Cross comes out. Mark Trestman's just sent Duron Carter in. 1st and 20. Franklin over the middle, and he incomplete. Second time he's targeted Green tonight. Green had a huge game against the Red Blacks in their first meeting, and it's been just another great year for a guy who makes all the tough catches.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about the great comeback story that was S.J. Green in 2017, a guy a lot of people thought his career might have been over.
There's a strike to Armonte Edwards, and a first down for the Argos as Edwards out beyond the 45-yard line, a 27-yard connection.
As he moves a little bit closer to 1,000, as the Argos have a shot at having 2 receivers go over 1,000 yards in the same season. This would be, should Edwards and Green both get there tonight, the first time since 2005.
That seems like a long time.
Well, considering that Ottawa had a couple of years back-to-back with 4 guys over 1,000.
3 receivers wide side. Franklin has time. Nobody open, and so he'll take off and get taken down after a pickup of 3 by E.C. Leonard.
Talk about S.J. Green. This is a guy who, after missing almost the entire 2016 season due to injury, basically given to the Toronto Argonauts by Montreal prior to last year. Mark Trestman and Jim Popp had a lot of success and history with Green during their time together in Montreal, and knew this was a guy they wanted on the field and in the locker room.
Number 28 all time. There it is. S.J. Green, for the 6th time in his career, is over 1,000. Flag comes down at the end of the play as Green is dropped at the Ottawa 35-yard line.
Major foul, face mask, Ottawa number 20. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
There's the face mask on J.P. Bolduc, so 15 yards more. So the 15th player in CFL history to have at least 6 1,000-yard seasons. Number 28 all time.
Crazy to think. This was a guy who had to kind of bide his time in Montreal
to
get on the field. It was Ben Cahoon and Jamel Richardson for a long time as the slots there.
Another season like this next year will be in the top 15. Franklin going to work, wants Green again, but like his arm was hit and the ball falls short and incomplete.
Yeah, Franklin had no opportunity to step into this throw with the pocket closing on him. Like there was a defender in around his legs just as he tried to step to release the football. See Bolduc coming on the blitz, got a piece of the arm. Knocked him in the side as he tried to step into the throw.
Second and 10. Argos actually second best red zone production percentage-wise this year. Pressure here, gets it away to Noel. And Noel's not going anywhere as, look at the REDBLACKS rally to the football. It came loose and Ottawa's got it. So the Argos turn it over deep in Ottawa territory.
A play that looked to be trouble from the start for the Toronto Argonauts turns out to be just that. Starts with Franklin under pressure.
Is he down there, or does he keep?
It looks like he spun and kept the right knee up. Somehow, he's on the outside of his foot. Tough to say.
Go downfield, almost a circus catch there by Seth Coate. Flags are flying. A little surprised that snap took place as quickly as it did, since all turnovers are reviewed.
Yeah, it seemed like there may have been something to consider on that.
After the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa, number 58. Half the distance to goal, second down.
Jason Lauzon-Seguin into the game and draws the flag.
Well, this flag seemed to fly just at the end of the play.
So a lot of penalties in this first half against the REDBLACKS, up to 70 yards at second and 21. Davis downfield, and it's caught on the tip. Seth Coate able to bring it down. Not the way they drew it up, but it's a 25-yarder and a first down Ottawa.
Yeah, they don't ask how, they just ask how many. Big gain for Coates here with an assist from Dominique Rhymes. Maybe a trap.
Yeah, I wonder if the Argos might challenge this. See if another angle is.
Halftime back in the studio. We're going to talk about who the REDBLACKS would rather face in the East Final, BC or Hamilton. Also the details on the struggling Calgary Stampeders. And my apologies go to Chris Cuthbert for suggesting last week that Dwayne Ford only works with guys named Rod. Back to a guy named Chris.
Well, I was worried today for a while, but
I don't discriminate.
Oh, look at this. A flea flick. Davis. Not time to look downfield, and unless that was the designed into the play for him to take off, the Argos not fooled.
Well, you're almost surprised to see a play like that in a game like this for Ottawa. You'd almost think you'd want to keep all the tricks up your sleeve for the postseason.
They're just throwing it out there to give their opponent something to work on. That pass is caught. Terrific throw. No, they're going to rule incomplete. Looked like a completion to Noel Thomas. He thought he caught it. I got to ask you, Dominic Davis at 185 in this first half. And we talk about how meaningful games are and whether or not this one has a lot on the line. But for Davis, their GMs in the league going to be looking at this first half saying, I like what I see.
You can never have too many quarterbacks, too much depth at that quarterback position. Davis could be a guy for whom there's there's still some upside there. You know, hasn't seen a ton of playing time thus far, but seems to have advanced his game a little bit this season as a member of the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
.52-yard punt by Richie Leone. So Dominic Davis in this first half, 13 of 19, 185, and a touchdown pass. Mention that now because it sounds like the REDBLACKS are going to split this game between he and Danny Collins, scheduled for the second half.
Well, maybe the conspiracy theory of them moving a quarterback grows in the offseason if they get everyone signed. And
right back in the hands of Levi Noel, who doesn't want to go down again. Led to a fumble in the last play, but he secures the football and dropped after a pickup of, let's see, around 7.
And Noel comes into this game among the top Canadian receivers in the league this season.
And S.J. Green, another catch. And Noel 7th among national receivers. That's an impressive step up for number 84 this season.
You think back to his draft class. The Argos took Brian Jones in the first round that year, adding Noel later.
First and 10, Franklin. And there's S.J. Green, and took a late hit after stepping out. And the flag flies as Tyndall with a shot that wasn't necessary.
S.J. didn't seem too bothered by it.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa, number 28. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
For a split second there, you sort of felt like watching this happen in slow motion. Almost, you could see Tyndall approaching and Green's back turn. Thought there was maybe a risk of injury there, but no
20-yard catch, 15 on the penalty. Tyndall, a leader in Ottawa with 80 defensive plays this year. First down, crosser. Miles White can't get away. Brought down by the middle linebacker, Avery Williams.
They use Miles White to chip the pass rusher there before he makes his way across the field. Miles, the twin brother of Montreal Alouettes defensive back. Mitchell White, former REDBLACK, former Argo.
Yep. 2nd and 6. Franklin throws that out. Burks couldn't reach it, as Franklin was hounded in the pocket. 3rd down. Ball at the 38. And Drew Brown coming out to try a 45-yarder. Brown's hit from 44 this season. Looking for his 2nd of the game. Up and good. And it's 12-6 for the REDBLACKS.
That's how you lock somebody down right there. Who are you talking to? Get back in the order. My dad said, y'all had a dream last time you're going to score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, the DB had it, and it went straight through his hands, and it landed right in my hands.
Catch CFL Wired Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on TSN1. If we'd mic'd you during one of those segments, would we have got a lot of material or not?
Not a lot.
No.
Not a lot.
Can you think of a teammate that would have been good with the mic on? Dominic Davis, boy, he's been good first half. Another rope across the middle, rhymes the catch in midfield.
You know, definitely a few over the years. You're going to heard Alondra Johnson spend a whole lot of time arguing with opposing offensive linemen.
Boy, he was a beast, wasn't he?
Hall of Famer.
18-yard pickup, Davis throws, and that's caught. Nice body positioning there. We do have a flag down, and Davis been shaken up. He has been terrific in this opening half.
Holding, Ottawa, number 54. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
So the catch by Thomas comes off the board on the holding call.
Keep an eye on Dylan Wynn looping from the bottom of your screen. He's the guy who gets to Dominic Davis. This is a guy that the Argos missed this season. Out for a big chunk of the year. High motor guy in the interior of that defensive line.
Just the 9th game of the season. So another 1st and 20. And that pass caught. Seth Coates got another grab. Coates had a 2-game suspension before really ever taking a spot in the Ottawa lineup.
A small college guy.
Second and 11. Crosser. Big collision there. Going to be short of the first down. Tackle made by Justin Herdman.
One of the fascinating things to see Herdman, by the way, the Argos nominee as outstanding special teams player. But you look at these Ottawa receivers, guys like Seth Coates, talked about R.J. Harris, Noel Thomas, Dominique Rhymes. I mean, these guys have all been here since training camp.
Right.
You know, so I mean, you imagine how competitive training camp would have been at the receiver positions.
Third down, and the Red Blacks just trying to kill the clock here. Going to let Lewis Ward try a 57-yarder. I'll just take a knee instead. That was an impressive 30 minutes for Dominic Davis. Red Blacks have the lead, 12-6 halftime in Ottawa. Let's join Rod Smith and the guys.
Thank you, CC. The guys are Henry Burris, Jim Barker, and Milt Stegall. Now, we look at this game with the Red Blacks winning it. We're also looking ahead a couple of weeks from now when Ottawa plays a much more important game for the right to go to the Grey Cup in Edmonton. That'll be the Eastern Final against either the BC Lions, who'll cross over to play the Hamilton Tiger Cats next week. If you're the Red Blacks, who would you rather face?
Oh, well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course. I mean, they had a chance to square off with them face-to-face, and they took it to Hamilton twice, 2 times in a row. They're undefeated versus the Ticats, and I know Ticat fans like, there goes Hank again picking on us. But again, let's look at the facts, guys, about who Hamilton is. One of the most banged-up teams in the CFL, one of the worst in quarterback sacks as far as getting quarterback sacks defensively. Penalties, second most undisciplined team in the league, and they turn the ball over a lot. So do all those equal out beating Ottawa, a team who they came face-to-face with, having a chance to win the East and failed twice back-to-back, equals no.
The BC Lions, they are located where?
West Coast.
West Coast. And the Ottawa Red Blacks are located where?
Pretty much in the
East Coast. So think about it. BC beats
not
Hamilton.
East Coast, but three hours, yeah.
They're going to go from BC to Hamilton, back to BC, then back to Ottawa. I don't know if that's going to happen and you're going to win a game. And when was the last time a crossover team went to the Grey Cup? Never. It's never happened. So I'm sure the Ottawa Red Blacks would love to win. Settle this, because I'm about to jump over there.
I have disagreed with everything this man has said tonight, but I'm going to agree with him.
Come on,
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
I believe that they would prefer to play the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Double Luke Tasker.
Yeah.
Who are they going to throw to?
Wow.
Yeah.
What about Mike Jones? Mike Jones.
Well, also, you're looking at a BC Lions team who's beat some good teams here as of late. But Hamilton doesn't have that defining win this year.
That travel is tough. That time change, that's tough. Physically, you think I can get it done, but that's tough.
Well, hey, Ottawa had tough times with BC in both occasions this year. And, again, you don't want to make that a third time because BC could possibly beat Ottawa, whereas with Hamilton, they got to learn how to beat themselves first.
Red Blacks lead at the half. When we come back, we're going to talk about the struggles of the Calgary
I love Hamilton. That's what's in the Kool-Aid, baby.
Saturday tomorrow, the biggest game BC plays. The Stampeders need to win to get first place. Otherwise, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will get first. Here's DT with the details on what ails Calgary.
I'm Derek Taylor with the details on another 3-game losing streak for the Stampeders. I have to admit, I'd forgotten the Stamps lost 3 straight to end last season, and that was by a combined 50 points. Maybe it's the way they've been savaged by injuries that makes this slump feel worse. The Stamps' top 5 international receivers have missed 40 games this season. The Ticats' injury-riddled top 5 will miss 30 games. Since week 17, when the Stamps had lost Jordan, Daniels, Bagleton, and later Michelle, their passer rating went from highest to second lowest in the league, and their receivers went from first to worst in producing yards after the catch. In those 4 games, Bo Levi Mitchell has thrown 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And there were 6 other passes that were either dropped by defenders or where a pick was prevented by a receiver. In all, that's 11 interceptable passes thrown in 4 games, as many as the next 2 quarterbacks combined. Clearly, things are not working as well as they were before. On defense, most of their numbers have held steady through this. Apart from their yards per pass attempt allowed, it's up dramatically to 9.3 yards, and that's thanks to the big plays. Before week 17, they'd allowed 6 pass plays over 40 yards. They've allowed 6 more in the 4 games since then. Over the full year, the Stampeders do remain the league's best defense. Just 3 weeks left to the Grey Cup. Time is running out, but it's the Stampeders. Can we really doubt their ability to fix things? I'm Derek Taylor with the details on the CFL.
Should point out the 3-game losing streak last year was after they'd already clinched first place. They still haven't done that yet. You a little worried about Calgary?
There should be some concern. You know, this is not the team of old. I mean, I know they have the injuries, but there has to be some concern. If they lose against the BC Lions, think about it. They're going to play the hottest team in the CFL, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and if they win that game, then you have to go into that hostile environment in Saskatchewan. I don't know how they're going to get that done. They need to win this game where they only have to win 1 game to get to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, and I think when you listen to Derek's details, it starts with the offense. When they lost all the receivers, Bo Levi's been struggling because he's got new guys out there. But that affects the defense. They're on the field longer. They're not converting when they've converted earlier, when they had all their people. So now their defense is more tired. Their defense is... That, to me, has been the shock, is how their defense has played the last few weeks.
Yeah, because one thing about Calgary, they always found ways to beat you in the trenches. But right now, they're only averaging around 50 yards rushing over the past 3 games. They're not throwing the ball with effectiveness. And that's, you know, we understand with all the injuries that have occurred. But, again, over the last 2 games, over 350 yards passing by the opposing quarterback and over 100 yards rushing. So right now, they're not even winning the trenches, guys. And we've known that's been one of their staples for a long time there in Calgary.
Well, the thing they need to do, like you talked about it, they need to keep that. That defense is rested. They can get it done. But as long as that offense is struggling, those 2 and outs, that plays on that defense. I don't care what type of players they have, and they have some great ones. If you're on that field long enough, it's going to affect you.
Well, guys, could it be a case where they're saying, let's get it out of us now and let's win in the end?
Purpose?
No, that's not what's happening.
What?
No.
Henry.
What as a player, if I asked you that question, what would you say?
They won't be bringing you back to Calgary anymore. That's a done deal right now.
Well,
that won't happen now.
I should clarify. I said they have to win. They can also tie. But if they lose, as you talked about, to the Lions, Saskatchewan Roughriders will get first place. Ottawa already has first place in the East. They're leading 12-6 at the half. Halftime numbers with the Red Blacks leading the Argos 12-6. Dominic Davis gets the start. 16-23, 220 yards, and a touchdown pass to Julian Fiole-Gadinho as well. Here's Davis with Matthew Shinetti.
Dominic, what is the value of that first half for you?
I did some good things. I know some things I need to correct, but we got the momentum going in this half. We just got to keep it up and get this W.
In terms of this offense and preparing for the East Final, how do you, even in your role, kind of help this offense get to where it needs to be in 2 weeks?
We just trying to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and we just going to keep plugging away and just keep holding this momentum.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you.
And 1 week at a time. After this, there is a week off before they host either the Lions or the Ticats in the Eastern Final. Right now, Red Blacks just trying to close out the regular season with a win. Halfway there, back with the second half. Coming up on TSN.
It's Friday night football, yeah! Boys are all here, gonna put on a show. Come
on! Cold, damp night to the nation's capital. Final regular season Friday night football game. Red Blacks with a 12-6 lead. It marks the 15th consecutive game that the Argos have trailed at halftime. We're going to see new quarterbacks in the second half. James Franklin's confirmed that his night is done. McLeod Bethel-Thompson will come in. Red Blacks' plan was to have Dominic Davis play the first half. He did well, 220 passing yards. We'll see Danny Collins in the second half.
And I would say, Chris, for all four of these quarterbacks, the snaps are valuable, whether it's about long-term development, maybe when you look at third-string guys, particularly a younger guy like Danny Collins, but also in terms of playoff readiness for a guy like Dominic Davis to play that first half.
Ron Carter on the return, and he brings it back just across the 30, and so McLeod Bethel-Thompson will check back in, 2-6 as a starter this season. And the guy that engineered that amazing comeback against the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Yeah, maybe that's on Mark Trestman's mind with his team trailing. Certainly a hardly an insurmountable lead considering the comeback that he led this team on earlier in the year against Ottawa.
Down by 24, he went 25 of 37, 302 and 4 touchdown passes. Comes out throwing to Miles White, and a catch up to the 39-yard line, a 7-yard pickup. And it was interesting hearing Mark Trestman talk prior to the game about this competition will continue through to next spring between James Franklin and McLeod Bethel-Thompson. A lot of questions and a lot could happen between now and then, but for the time being, the Argos still haven't really established the heir to Ricky Ray, have they?
No, they certainly haven't. Potential for sure, though, in both these guys. They've shown flashes.
There's a flash from Brandon Burks. Open field, and Burks finally pushed out at the 37-yard line. And he shows you his explosive ability there in a 34-yard run.
Yeah, there was a second there where Burks looked like he might go all the way when he first turned that corner. Corey Tyndall did a great job in his recovery in terms of taking the right angle to get to Burks.
Just the second carry for Burks. Here comes pressure, and it's dumped down, and away goes Levi Noel with another big gainer down inside the 5. So the Argos offense moves into high gear, a 32-yard pass and run play. And Corey Tyndall's been shaken up, and that would be significant news in the Ottawa defense.
Well, it certainly would. Nice execution here. Screen type pass to Noel. turns that into a big play, and you'll see Tyndall went down awkwardly at the end of the play. Slow to get up. And the trainers have now come to get him.
They've already lost Devin Butler tonight.
Yeah, that would be both defenders, both boundary side defenders in that secondary. Imagine Noel Thorpe's holding his breath over there a little bit right now.
Tyndall's played all 18 this year. Mentioned in the first half as the team leader in terms of total defensive plays made.
But Tyndall's on the back looked like his teammate, Sherrod Baltimore, who was also getting in on the tackle. He got on the back of Tyndall's legs. A hard fall backwards. Second-year DB.
And so Noel Thorpe has some juggling to do in that secondary. Mikhail Charlon steps in. First and goal. Short drop. Bethel Thompson in some trouble there, and he'll get dragged down. Mike Wakefield helping break down the Argo quarterback.
Big play from Wakefield. Does it look like pretty good coverage on the back end for what is becoming a little bit of a makeshift group for Ottawa.
No second and goal. Bethel Thompson, and almost picked off. In and out of the hands of the safety, Bolduc. That might have been going back 100 yards. Intended for Armonte Edwards.
And Bolduc has actually been part of the shuffle. Now he's starting at safety for an injured Antoine Pruneau. But I think has shifted to halfback because of that injury to Corey Tyndall.
So the Argos drive stalls. Drew Brown in, looking for his third field goal of the night. Puts it through, and it's a 3-point game. Argos moved down the field impressively, but then the brakes were put on by that Ottawa defense. Canadian Tire Senators hockey continues tomorrow afternoon. Sends in Buffalo to take on the Sabres part 2 of their home and home after a win last night. Gets the action 2 Eastern, 3 Atlantic on TSN 5 in the Sens region and on TSN 1200. So as planned, here's Danny Collins getting work. The number 3 quarterback will handle the duties in the second half, and he's picked off. Tremaine Washington back the other way, and only Collins can stop him, and he does slow him up to save the pick 6. But a guy with the reputation of a gunslinger gets picked off right away here by Washington, who has his 3rd interception of the season.
We'll keep an eye on the matchup here. Number 2 receiver down the hash mark, Washington in coverage. Just a little bump there to throw the receiver off his path, comes underneath on the throw. It was behind the receiver.
And that bump is going to draw the challenge flag, I think, for Rick Campbell, who sprints down the sidelines and gives it that Campbell underhand toss with some authority. He throws it like he already knows he's right.
Maybe that's the key.
Ottawa is challenging that there was defensive pass interference on their receiver number 15. We'll review the play.
Well, you saw that portion Is that enough? Jermaine Washington says, what, me?
Yeah, so again, we're looking at the number 2 receiver, Dominic Grimes, just as he makes his break. It's a little bump.
Was that enough to reroute the receiver?
Well, and based on where the ball is thrown, you know, like if it had been a hard push in the back, that would sort of explain, here's why the ball is behind the receiver. But I don't think this is a push that explains why the ball is behind the receiver.
That's crazy.
Nonetheless, definite contact after 5 yards. Affected the receiver's path.
Oh, we've got a verdict apparently. Let's find out.
After review, we have defensive pass interference, Toronto number 36. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down, Ottawa.
Well, the interception taken off the board. The 45-yard return taken off the board. Instead, it's Red Black football up around their 50-yard line.
And take a look. I mean, you can see it certainly affects the stride of the receiver, affects his path, his balance.
I didn't think they were going to get that call, but PI called. We told you Rick Campbell threw it with some confidence.
Well, it's the football version of George Costanza's theory that it's not a lie if you believe it's the truth.
Well, Danny Collins is happy that the way it went, it cleans the slate for him. What would have been a rough start. Now 2nd and 11, but a lot better than watching the Argos first and goal inside the 5.
Check the technique here. Good hustle.
I like he covers a lot of territory.
Now I have seen Rick at times this year actually go with the overhand delivery.
Could go overhand.
Challenge flag. Could just have some versatility though.
We like his mobility. Here's Collins looking for his first official completion, overthrowing Rhymes. And Durant Carter drops back. Pressure on. Leone launches that, and from the 7, Carter's got it. Shakes the first would-be tackle and then gets bumped out by Justin Howell. So Argo football, a long field. Down by 3. Long field for the Argos, even longer. A holding call on the Carter return. And the ball back on the 4-yard line. Carter not in the offensive huddle here. Playing in his 8th game as an Argo. 2 catches in each of his last 5 games. So from his end zone, McLeod Bethel Thompson, a pump pulls it down and just gets beyond the line of scrimmage before he's brought down by Avery Ellis.
And as I look at the Argos starting position, field position for this drive, I would have liked to have seen Durant Carter let that ball bounce on the punt and give up the single. I know it's a 3-point game right now. There's also over 25 minutes of football left, plenty of time to come back. It's just, to me, such a game of field position. And again, you're trying to put your team in the best possible position to be successful. Inexperienced quarterback, I don't want him starting deep in my own territory.
In here on 2nd and 8. And throwing for Monty Edwards. Incomplete. Sherrod Baltimore there defensively. And now 3rd down, and do the Argos concede the safety deep in their own territory?
Derek Taylor says no, by the way.
Mark Trestman says yes.
We'll let the two of them discuss it.
14-9. Matthew Shinetti will be chatting with Trevor Harris when we return to TD Place. Back in Ottawa, where the starting quarterback is an observer tonight and standing by with Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, CC. Trevor Harris is probably one of the most intense competitors I know in the CFL, so a night like this is something that you probably don't like because you want to be out there. However, the numbers speak for themselves. 5,000 yards for yourself. William Powell having a great year, 3 1,000-yard receivers. But how important is the week next week going to be for preparation and working on the details?
It's vital because bye weeks aren't bye weeks right now. The bye weeks are our time for us to press the envelope, get into a rhythm, and make sure that our offense is clicking as good as we can and pushing the defense. We're pushing each other to become the great team that we feel like we are right now.
Trevor, I've followed you throughout your career here in the CFL. I've watched you grow. This year, as I said, 5,000 yards, still leading the top in terms of efficiency. How do you think your game has grown in your second full year as a starter, and what do you want to work on come the bye week?
I think just mentally I've become stronger in terms of, seeing defenses, no situation becoming too big for me. And obviously just as a leader, you learn so many different things. And you want to make sure that obviously you're doing everything that you can, turning over every stone during an off season, during the season, to be the best version of yourself for your teammates. So you can put yourself in a position to be in the big games, to have those big moments, and just to put your team in a position to be in for a championship. And that's where we're at right now. And I'm not stopping turning over stones right now. It's time to keep pushing the envelope, keep getting better, and growing.
I just want to fit this in about the quarterback room because I know how much offensive coordinator Jamie Elizondo tests all of his guys. What did you think about Dominic Davis in that first half?
Dom does a great job. He got us lined up. He got the open receivers. He was out there. He was accurate. He was on time. And we don't have those slouch receivers. They're out there making plays, and it's fun to see the young guys out there making plays right now, and excited to watch Danny in this fourth quarter as well.
And to that point, I know how much you want to be a coach when you look at a young guy like Danny Collins getting some play time. What are you going to tell him when he comes off on the sidelines?
Take what they give you. Trust the reads, trust the system. Don't go outside of the box, and just make sure that you're doing everything that we tell you and we talk about in the meetings. We spend a lot of time together, even after work days. We're in there till 6:30, 7 at night. All of us are, talking about these things and working on them. So just trust our prep.
How excited are you 2 weeks from now? This place is going to be full again for another East Final.
Can't wait, man. It's what we've been working toward all this week, and it's the thing that's kept me sane for not playing this week is knowing what we have ahead. So we're excited, but we're going to treat it just like we have every game this year and come out there and trudge along and see what we can do.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, Trevor.
Sir, thank you.
That's good stuff. We don't talk a lot about that pass efficiency rating, but number one in that department, as Matthew mentioned as well. Oh, that one almost picked off. Kenna bet his hands on the ball. We do have a flag, however. It is in the secondary. Is that going against the Argos as well? Trevor Harris, 99.6 pass efficiency rating. Tops in the league heading into the final week.
Defensive pass interference, Toronto, number 29. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down, Ottawa.
The man who made the play committed the foul.
Keep an eye. Little grab on the break, but when I watch that, I think the grab is in response to an attempt by the receiver, Rhymes, to push off and create separation.
Play action fake to Madu, look out! Big collision. Thomas hangs on. Ronnie Yell, one of the last guys standing in that secondary, all 18, the only DB to do that for the Argos this year. Gets a shot in on a vulnerable receiver.
Yeah, Thomas just able to get his head around and see that one coming. Big collision. San Jose State product, Ronnie Yell, former BC Lion.
2nd and 3. Wide side skip short. And it's Lewis Ward time. We'll line this one up from 32 yards out. You knew he was going to make it. 2 more tonight. 51 of 52 on the season. Nothing but net. 17-9 Ottawa. Up with the Argos last year. He is the top defensive player for the Ottawa REDBLACKS in 2018.
I was very intrigued to see how the Ottawa REDBLACKS were going to use Rico Murray when they signed him as a free agent. Former Hamilton Tiger Cat, as you mentioned, spent last year with Toronto. A versatile defender. I mean, this is a guy that played all over the place in that Hamilton secondary. Found a home early on as the field halfback here in Ottawa and turned in a terrific year.
Noel Thorpe's Swiss Army knife. But he really can play just about any position in the back seven. Probably not middle linebacker, but
guaranteed he'd know what to do if you put him there.
There's the guy that plays middle linebacker or
yes, sir.
weak side linebacker.
The CFL's nastiest player,
yes.
is voted by his
Which
peers.
is why he's smiling.
Yes.
Second down, there's a second down conversion catch for Edwards. Just beyond the 47.
Monty Edwards continues his pursuit of his first 1,000-yard season. Again, we mentioned the veteran DBs brought in by Ottawa over the course of the offseason. Rico Murray, the only one remaining with the team.
First down 48, hands it off to Burks. And a burst to midfield for 7 for Brandon Burks. We talked about Rico Murray. You saw Kaye Bear, who's been influential in Murray's transition to the Canadian Football League.
He was a guy that I looked up to, and you know, me and him actually played a lot of the same positions when we played in Cincinnati together. So just being on the team with him again, it's been fun. And now I'm not the rookie anymore. I'm more of a vet, and he's still a vet. But you know, we're vets together, so it's been a pleasure. He's found that fountain of youth, so you know, as long as his body allows him to play, I'm sure he's going to keep going.
Now, if anybody's got the fountain of youth in this league, it would be Kai.
Yeah, very productive years in Montreal the last few seasons. Former defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe made the move here to Ottawa this year, and this was a veteran guy he was interested in having.
Madero's kicking it away. R.J. Harris at the 22 is dropped. Under 5 to go here in the third quarter. 8-point Ottawa lead. Danny Collins at the controls now as the #1 guy handles some equipment manager duties on the sidelines. Throw one of those coats up here, I think. Chilly.
It's not so bad.
Listen, bad.
For November, I'll take it.
Just damp. Getting soft here, Dwayne. Pass incomplete. Quick close from the Queen's product, Matt Webster.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, you knew I had to get that in once tonight.
That's the former Gale.
Although I must grant that you have bragging rights again this year after a furious fourth quarter comeback a few weeks ago.
Yes. It's getting to be that time of year in Canadian University football as well.
Been a good year. That ball might be up for grabs. He reached out, and does he catch it? No. They're going to say incomplete. Matt Cote trying to sell it. Or Seth Cote, excuse me. He wants another look, but...
Well, this was Ellingson-esque to me, a nice adjustment to the ball.
Well, let's take a look, because does it hit the ground? It rolls up on him, and I guess... did it hit the ground? It must have.
To say. I thought there was a bounce in there.
Wow. They can't challenge. Ruled incomplete, but could have been one of the catches of the year if the bounce was off his arm and nothing else. Ron Carter at midfield after a short punt.
Commentator Outdoor Clothing is brought to you by Nobis. This is Nobis.
Well, it seemed implausible that that would be a catch, but you've watched on the replay a couple of times. Does it hit the ground or just off his arm and roll up? I'm not sure it ever makes contact with the ground.
Me neither.
That one intercepted, picked off, and it is Rico Murray. Bringing it back to the Argo 34-yard line. And Murray now tied for the league lead. He's got 5 interceptions.
Well, as the saying goes, leave no doubt. Rico Murray, the Red Blacks' most outstanding defensive player, comes up with their biggest defensive play of the night. Again, he's played halfback all year. He's playing the nickel linebacker spot. Tonight, Anthony Chaffee gets the night off, and they sort out that cluster of receivers. We saw a little peek behind just to see where the receiver was, and then shifted to get himself underneath that curl.
Here's Madu, who's run well tonight, hasn't he? Down to the 21-yard line for Moses Madu. That's his 10th carry. And he's now up to 72 yards on that 14-yarder.
Oh, Murray and Madu, a couple former Hamilton Tiger Cats. Fighting for a quick turnaround here for the Red Blacks.
1st and 10. Back to Madu. Pretty good inside run there. Down to the 15, give 5 more. Fresh legs at this time of the year sometimes can really show up, and Madu looks like one of those guys.
And you've got to give credit to a veteran guy as well, who, you know, hasn't seen a lot of game action this season, as William Powell remained healthy through much of the year.
Oh, look at that catch! Did you see that? Down to the 1. Dominic Grimes showing off.
Oh, play action, quick hitter to the flat. And this juggle almost kind of divided the defenders, guiding Grimes around. One overran it, one stopped. As he was bobbling the ball in the air, it created a gap that he ran through once he actually secured the football.
Well, 1st and goal, Madu, touchdown. And the Red Blacks convert that Rico Murray interception into a major. First touchdown of the year for Madu, behind John Gott and company.
Just pounds it up in there. Madu ran into a wall at the goal line, but kept the legs churning. Grind it in.
4 plays after the interception, 34 yards. And a convert from Lewis Ward. And Madu on the night now, up to 12 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown to boot.
A couple of big plays set the table for a short Moses Madu run. It all begins with the turnover. Rico Murray, his 5th interception of the year, coming underneath S.J. Green to take that one away. That sets the table, followed up. A little bit of a circus catch from Dominique Grimes, the juggling act.
Caught it 3 times.
That'll put the ball on the doorstep. Moses Madu pounds it in. 24-9, Ottawa lead.
Well, get the little celebration. You have to have a real good beard to get away with that. Carter on the return, not going anywhere. John got a beer. He made short work of it too.
Yeah, that might be legend status right there.
That's pretty good. It might cost him $1 or $2, but beer's getting expensive these days. I think that just hit social media. There's Bethel Thompson. Macbeth will run for a first down. That might be the best of the year.
Well, first time we've seen that particular prop used.
Yes. Inspired by John Montgomery of Amazing Race fame and Olympic gold medal in 2010. Edwards a catch, final play, 3rd quarter. So the home side looking for its 11th win of the year. In charge here by 15 points as we head to the 4th quarter, 24-9, Red Blacks. Take a look at our numbers through 3 quarters. The passing yards are dead even. The score isn't.
No, Ottawa continues to look more like the playoff team of the 2 teams competing here tonight, regardless of how much of their starting roster they're using. And I think from a Red Blacks perspective, if you're Rick Campbell and the messages you've sent about going out there playing Red Blacks football, good football, the importance of winning, all of those things, I think have sunk it in. And that's the first thing that stands out. But the other thing that stands out is the depth of this Ottawa football team. When you look and consider how many starters are out of the lineup, whether because they're resting or whether it's because of injury, this is a team that's in pretty good shape going into the playoffs.
Got good stuff out of them. Their backup quarterbacks tonight. Their backup tailback, Moses Madu's look dangerous, and veterans on defense like Rico Murray have got the job done. That 3rd quarter, though, turned on a challenge by Rick Campbell that took an interception off the board and an Argo first down inside the 5. It might have made it a whole different 3rd quarter of play.
Yes, sir.
See if the Argos could stage the kind of rally they did against Ottawa earlier this year. Levi Noel, another catch, and boy, he's had a good couple of weeks, hasn't he? Mentioned the 8 catches last week for 105 in the game against Montreal, and Noel's just picked up his 5th catch of this game and leads the Argo receivers with 69 yards. Plunged by Bethel Thompson for a first down.
Yeah, well, you'd think Levi Noel is a guy who, going into the offseason, is certainly creating a lasting impression for this Argo coaching staff and managerial team. Perhaps in demanding a bigger role in 2019.
Among the many questions involving Toronto, certainly focusing on the man who is on the sidelines and his future. Bethel Thompson putting us up for grabs, and Carter got tripped up, tangled up with Sherrod Baltimore, who got the interception. Not going to be accidental pass interference as the flag comes down. Got a little scuffle going on. George Yuko, Tyler Holmes, not sure who else was involved, but let's take a look at the flag on what may be accidental pass interference.
Yeah, and I do believe it's accidental, just their feet got caught up as both men were looking to make a play on the football. Carter gets tripped up and goes down. You saw his left foot clips the right calf of Sherrod Baltimore.
What is accidental?
We have accidental defensive pass interference, Ottawa number 29. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
But sometimes you wonder, what's the defender supposed to do here?
Yeah, no, exactly. Looking to make a play. I mean, it's a tough call. But I guess that's what the word accidental covers.
So the Argos get a first down. The faithful here in Ottawa, who are not here in as big a numbers tonight as they will be in 2 weeks, don't like the call. And a fumble on that snap. And Bethel Thompson's got to eat it back at the 40-yard line.
Off the fingertips of the Argo quarterback, and
Kevin Brown on the scene in a hurry. Going to mark it at the 37. So loss of 6.
You know, it almost seems like accidental pass interference in an instance like that. It should just be like replay the down.
Yeah, I was going to say no yardage.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense that he gets penalized for that.
Sideline pass is caught at the 25. It'll be short of the first down for Jimmy Ralph. Baltimore had an interception last week in the end zone against Hamilton. One taken off the board there. So it's third down. The offense stays out. 3rd and 3. Have to go here. Over the middle and incomplete. S.J. Green couldn't hang on.
Rico Murray with the pass breakup.
What a veteran matchup that is. And this time the top defensive player wins the battle. Mark Trestman challenged the last play, looking for pass interference on this pass he intended for S.J. Green.
Tell Take a look. It did look from one angle like maybe there was a bit of a grab with the right arm of Murray around the waist of Green before the ball arrived. But
after review, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass. First down, Ottawa.
What is a turnover on downs?
yeah, and you know, I will say, and I've said it before, I think if you need to rely on slow motion to detect whether a defensive player was there before the ball, then it's not pass interference. We can't start splitting hairs. You got to give defensive guys a chance to play.
REDBLACKS take over. Short plunge here. Just back, perhaps beyond the line of scrimmage for a yard for Madu. Danny Collins, second Ottawa quarterback. 2 for 6, 21 yards. Couple of adventures tonight. An interception taken off by a successful REDBLACK challenge. Second and 10. University of Maine product throws a strike there, and it will be a first down.
Collins taking the advice given to him by his veteran mentor, Trevor Harris. Take what the defense gives you. Noel Thomas gets position on the curl. Collins slings it in there.
Thomas gets 12, first down. Ottawa 37. Fake to Madu, pressure coming. And it's Cote who gets upended. Jermaine Washington stepped up and made the defensive play.
Yeah, Matt Webster supplying the pressure. A play designed to get the ball out quickly. Nice follow-up by Washington.
Second and 10. Six receivers out. And Collins throwing long. And there's pass interference. Intended for Cote. Ronnie Yellen coverage. Now, is that accidental? Was there a bit of a trip there or more?
Well, we'll get a look. It certainly looked like it was at their feet that that contact was made and Cote was caused to fall.
Accidental defensive pass interference. Toronto, number 25. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Ottawa.
This looked like Scarfone who was the intended target. Jacob Scarfone, a rookie out of Guelph, in his fourth game. Fake to Madu, and that pass. Cote make the play. A roll and a catch and another first down.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the way that he moves and the body control and so on, there's a lot in this very small sample about Seth Cote that reminds me a little bit of Greg Ellickson.
Boy, it looks like he can make the tough catch. Out of a small school, St. Francis in the States. Madu. Cam Walker drags him down with more on Seth Cote. Let's check in with Matthew Shinetti.
Well, guys, if you don't remember, Seth Cote actually was suspended earlier this season when he was found to have performance-enhancing drugs. And maybe it was an important time because he spoke to Brad Sinopoli. Now, listen, Seth Cote told us yesterday that it is an absolute, it's so good for him to be around Brad Sinopoli and Greg Ellingson and Deontay Spencer, but Sinopoli in particular, not only helping with set hand placement and routes and how to run in this offense, but particularly at that time, after he was suspended, Brad Sinopoli went up to Cote and said, listen, you can't control that. It's in the past. Now it's your job to perform better going forward. You're on the practice roster. You can take your time getting into this offense. But Coach said to us yesterday that Brad Sinopoli has been critical in how he's developed, not only in this offense, but as a professional. Guys.
Well, learning from one of the best. And Coach showing you something tonight with his good hands, his body controls you talked about. And had that catch counted, can you imagine how viral that highlight would have gone?
Yes, sir.
Would have been the catch of the year, but it was ruled incomplete on the field. We're still not sure. Leone trying to pin the Argos. Hangs up around the 15. And Carter is dropped just beyond there by Kevin Brown. It's Ottawa by 15 here, midway through the fourth.
Well, he has Chevys right now.
Time now for the Shaw connection of the game. Shaw, super fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
Oh, that's the highlight catch of the night, at least amongst those that have counted as catches. Danny Collins to Dominique Grimes. Acrobatic juggling effort that set up a touchdown. That's our Shaw connection of the game.
Here's Levi Noel, a little stutter step, and those extra yards. How about Levi Noel on that play? 6th grab of the game. And yards after the catch on that one.
And Noel continuing to impress again.
Moves, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's big guy, elusive, deceptively fast. You know, physical player as well. Again, this is a guy that really established himself as a special teams player, a very good special teams player his first couple of years in the league. And with all due respect to Milt Stiegel, Jock Climby, and the like, not a lot of receivers do that.
Milt wasn't on the cover team?
Now, Milt was occasionally pretty good on the punt return team as a punt rush guy, occasionally as a returner. But no, Milt was not running down to make tackles.
Bethel Thompson, 99 passing yards. Well, you can put him into triple digits with that connection to S.J. Green for 22 yards. And an Argo first down up at their 52.
Absolute strike here. Thrown by McLeod. Bethel Thompson delivering this one with some authority.
9 for 13 on the night. SJ 4 for 60 on the game as he goes over 1,000, and Miles White runs into traffic, and Kevin Brown puts an abrupt end to that play.
Kevin Brown's been very productive at will linebacker spot this season. Another guy who's been terrific on special teams as well.
That's the 9th tackle of the game for Kevin Brown. So he's had a night. 2nd and 9. Bethel Thompson sidelines. Armonte Edwards has a catch. 5th catch of the game for Edwards, and now he's up to 59 yards. So there's still a chance for Edwards. He's 44 yards away from 1,000 on the season. Just one of the good pros in the league, too, isn't he?
Yeah, certainly is. And those converted quarterbacks, college quarterback, moved to the receiver position in the National Football League and has become a very, very good one here in the CFL.
Had a touchdown last week in the loss against Montreal. Argos have to call a timeout here. Personnel issue.
Timeout, Toronto.
Wanted to get Declan Cross on the field and have to burn a timeout to do it. Well, still some chatter about Mark Trestman. Do you think he'll be back next year?
Yeah, this will be a fascinating one to watch. A trying year, certainly, for Mark Trestman, both in a football and personal sense.
Well, it's been a distinguished career here for sure. And we hope this isn't it. Pass incomplete. I mean, with his track record, you would expect that any personnel decision involving Mark Trestman is made by him.
Yeah, I think he has earned that right.
What a chirping after that play. Declan Cross and Kevin Brown, and a cross from Cross that
well,
doesn't draw a flag. But
well, that was followed up by J.P. Bolduc, went to grab Cross and pull him back, but I think he was trying to grab the jersey, ended up pulling him by the hair.
Second and 10. Three receivers wide side. Noel joins them. They go to the other side, and despite a slip, S.J. Green still makes the play.
Another one.
He might have tweaked something with the slip. Looked like he was going to lose his footing before the ball got there, but recovered and makes the play.
It looked like an option route there where quarterback and receiver are deciding what pattern to run, what route to run based on the depth of the defender. It'll come back on the outside there. Timed out well.
Third in the yard. Bethel Thompson stacked up. Not sure. Doesn't look like it. Avery Williams doesn't think he got it. And the Red Blacks believe they've got a turnover on downs. Take another look. Not much of a surge there as Bethel Thompson gets stopped. Ottawa football when we come back. Resident on CTV, idealistic doctors must face reality and work within an imperfect system to save lives. The Resident, streaming Monday at 8, 9 Mountain. Well, that's maybe the biggest cause of concern tonight for Ottawa. That's the third member of the secondary who's been helped off, J.P. Bolduc, the latest.
Bolduc filling that safety spot with Antoine Pruneau out of the lineup. We've also seen Corey Tyndall and Devin Butler leave the game tonight with injuries.
There's a run for Greg Morris. Argos have turned the ball over 4 times tonight. They're minus 22 on the year. And another formula for a lack of success. Argos 1-9 when they've had more turnovers in a game this year.
The most telling stat in football.
It is. Flags fly here as Noel Thomas was ahead of the snap.
Yeah, among others, I think, for Ottawa.
Procedure, Ottawa number 51. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
It is amazing how telling that stat is, though. If you turn the ball over more than your opponent, you're going to lose more than your opponent.
Yeah.
Ottawa 8-1 with fewer turnovers this year, 2-6 when they've made more. We've hit the 3-minute warning here. Back here in Ottawa, we've talked about the injuries in the secondary, the biggest Antoine Pruneau, and to update his status for the postseason, Here again's Matthew.
Well, speaking to defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe before the game, Chris, he is pretty confident that he'll get Antoine Pruneau back. Pruneau did see some good doctors earlier in October, and he was kept on the 6-game injured list. But when speaking to Coach Thorpe, he was pretty confident that Antoine Pruneau could be back practicing early next week, guys.
Boy, that'd be big.
A Canadian starting free safety. Another one of those guys with great versatility.
Yep. Play different spots in that lineup. Greg Morris gets another carry. And it's 3rd down, and the punt team will come on for Ottawa. So Danny Collins on the night. 5 for 10, 49 yards. A 1-touchdown drive after the interception by Rico Murray. Durant Carter strides back. They wind it right down to 1 before calling a timeout.
Timeout, Ottawa.
Red Black simulating here for postseason play.
That's right.
I hope.
Clock management.
That's Bobby Dyson. Rick Campbell. Don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Final dress rehearsal. The Ottawa Red Blacks before the East Division final. We played here in 16 days.
Leone kicking to Carter with some pressure on, but gets it away. Carter from his 34. And hit heavily at the 40, brought down. Time for the Nissan Titan Player of the Game, brought to you by the Nissan Titan, the official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
Well, you know you've had a pretty good night when you only have to play half the game to be named Player of the Game, but Dominique Davis was that good. 16 of 23, 220 yards, and a touchdown pass in just 1/2 of work. Ottawa's backup quarterback making the start as they prep for the playoffs. Dominique Davis is tonight's Nissan Titan Player of the Game.
Not much rust on a guy who made his first start in 1,092 days. Bethel Thompson somehow doesn't go down. Wow. Tells you how strong he is.
Big quarterback fighting off tackles. I'm not sure a couple of the would-be tacklers didn't knock each other off there. Well, the next time you see that guy in action, it'll be for a trip to the Grey Cup. Trevor Harris, the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Posted 10 wins as the starter. Looking for 2 more. Bethel Thompson has a strike. S.J. Green into Ottawa territory. Fumbled the ball. He took a big hit. And Green shaken up a bit. 22-yard pickup, but it's the 5th turnover of the night for the Argos.
S.J.'s going to take a knee. Remember, he went through concussion protocol a couple weeks ago after taking a big hit in BC. On his way down here, being pulled down, and Kevin Brown comes in to get in on the tackle, catching Green in the head.
All turnovers reviewed, so they'll take a look to make sure he wasn't down by contact. But the Red Blacks offense on the field. So barring a further turnover or takeaway, the Argos are going to be minus 23 on the year. and they're going to be winless on the road in 2018. Morris. Not much there. Met immediately by Evan Foster, but of Manitoba made first contact.
Most respected players in the Canadian Football League.
I was going to say he and Ricky Ray would share that distinction with that Argo team.
No doubt.
2nd and 10. Well, it wasn't the year after that Mark Trestman was looking for, and it will be the worst winning percentage by a team after winning the Grey Cup since Ottawa in 1970, and they had an excuse. Russ Jackson had retired after the '69 Grey Cup, and I guess the similarity might be that Ricky Ray was lost to the Argos very early.
Yeah, well, I think you look at a lot of these. I mean, Toronto 1992 rather. Matt Dunnigan left for Winnipeg after the '91 season. Not easy to replace a star quarterback.
Third down, and they're just going to run it down here. Hand it off to Morris. There's going to be a turnover on downs the other way with under a half minute to go. A reminder, we have triple header action tomorrow, and the big one is the finale. Calgary and BC, the Stamps trying to clinch first in the division and a guaranteed spot in the Western Final. It's at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific across the TSN network. Wally Buono will be honored. Final regular season game for Dwayne Ford's old head coach. And Wally Buono hoping for a playoff date in Ottawa, but he'll have to get by Hamilton first. Another catch for Armonte Edwards. He is going to get agonizingly close to 1,000, but does he have time to get there? And do they even have room on the field for him to get there? That's 18 more, so he's at 76 yards and 27 away. There is a flag, however.
A little roughhousing behind the play between the big boys.
After the play, objectional conduct, Ottawa, number 92. 10-yard penalty, first down, Toronto.
Big George Huko headed to the sidelines after being flagged. And that takes it to the 20.
What kind of mistake Rick Campbell certainly doesn't want to see in the postseason.
Four-man rush, pass for Ralph out of his break and unable to bring it in. 2nd and 10. Let's see if the Argos can finish with a major score. They've got time for a couple of cracks at the end zone here.
Well, apparently George Huko cost Armonte Edwards his last shot at 1,000 yards. The ball at the 20-yard line.
Not enough room on the field for him now. Second and 10. Going into the end zone for Edwards. Can't make the catch.
Taking a shot, good release to the inside. Ball looked like it was in as good a place as it could be. But Baltimore able to disrupt the hand placement of the receiver to break that one up.
Fans that have stayed making noise. Encouraging the defense to finish it off here. 3rd and 10. Bethel Thompson, one more shot in the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Edwards, who had that game-winning catch in the first meeting. But it's Ottawa prevailing here, 24-9 at TD Place.
Well, the Ottawa REDBLACKS will finish the season with 11 wins, their 2nd highest total in franchise history. The backups look pretty good, continuing the team's winning ways going into the playoffs. They just hope they can get that secondary healthy in time for the big game 16 days away.
Good night for Dominic Davis, 220 yards in a half. And 1 touchdown as the REDBLACKS go to 11-7, 6-3 at home, 6-2 against the East. And they hand the Argos another road loss, and the Argos finish 4-14. 24-9 the final. So long, everybody. Here comes SportsCenter.